Good morning, all. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for the morning of Wednesday, the 22nd of July. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer trend charts, and I'm not here to shoot trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at CTM The Bigger Picture.substack.com. It's published on YouTube after a delay of a week. All right, great. Let's have a look at the ES, where the buy signal that fixed on Friday, I think, made target yesterday as SPX broke back over the daily middle band. That's not necessarily that significant, but I'll have a look at that on the RTH charts. In terms of NQ, we're still looking at a potential, a decent looking falling wedge here, and I'm still wondering about a move back up into the wedge resistance, currently in about the 29,750 area, but I am a little concerned that this looks very like a short-term bear flag. On RTY, we've got a very nice looking and fully formed potential head and shoulders here, which has not broken down yet. And of course, may not break down and might just head straight back to the highs. On YM, we've got a nice looking head and shoulders, which has broken down with a target in the 5780 area and waiting to see if that will deliver. Some trading basically back at the head and shoulder neckline at the moment. DAX, we saw a strong move up overnight. I'm wondering whether an inverse head and shoulders might be forming. If so, ideally we'd backtest the weekly pivot at 24,997 to make the right shoulder. We will see how that goes. ESTX possibly forming a head and shoulders here, and Nikkei, we've got what looks like a bull flag falling megaphone here, and we're next obvious target within the megaphone resistance. This would be a bearish underthrow, so this would suggest that this would be about to break up and potentially head back to retest the all-time high. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Okay, looking at this is something that I was looking at in the pre-market video yesterday. This is the SOX chart, which is the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index. This is on daily RSI 14 sell signal. It's got a decent looking head and shoulders, which is broken down. We could be forming an alternate larger head and shoulders right shoulder here. So the question, one big reason that we haven't retested the highs on SPX and Qs since June is that this has been going down. So we're seeing a bit of a rally here. It's not really that much to get excited about at the moment. We're still well below the 50 DMA and the daily middle band, and the head and shoulders has most definitely not failed. But this is a potential start of a rejection back up into the high. If that happens, then that could give us the juice to actually see a retest of the highs on the Qs. In terms of short-term hourly chart, I've got an RSI 14 buy signal fixed, and I was casting this as either a potential head and shoulders forming or potentially a bull flag. So waiting with great interest to see what happens here. No current negative divergence on the hourly chart. We've still got an RSI 14 buy signal fixed. All right, looking at SPX and ES, we broke back over the daily middle band yesterday. Daily middle band was at 75.28. On ES, we closed at 75.45. And on SPX, we closed 32 handles above it, which was a significant break. So what happens now? Well, we could, of course, break straight back down. This wasn't really joined by the other indices, although the other indices did rally. If we look at the others, Qs had a decent rally and came close to getting back towards the daily middle band. I was talking about on Sunday a possible rally from the 3ST lower band here on the Qs. In terms of Dia, we closed back on the daily middle band and very, very slightly above it, but effectively on it. And IWM closed on it as well. This leaves us with 3 of the 4 indices trading under the daily middle band at the moment, and we need to see more to the upside and some confirmation that the daily middle band is going to stay broken to really view this as a bullish development. In terms of the hourly chart on SPX, no current divergence. In terms of but this could be a overall bullish consolidation, you can see. On the 15-minute chart, no current divergence really. Hourly chart on Qs. Qs, no divergence here. 15-minute, no divergence here. We had a little RSI 5 sell signal that's already made target on the 15-minute chart. In terms of dire, we've got nothing on the hourly chart. Obviously, on the daily chart, on the 15-minute chart, we've got a pretty nice looking break below this rising wedge support from the late March low, and a pretty good head and shoulders which is broken down. We will see whether that makes target. We shall see. All right, looking at ES, of course, just to mention, we still do have an open double top target down in the 74.30 area, and we have not broken down over the area where this could be a bear flag forming. All right, let's have a look at IWM. IWM, we've got on the daily chart, we closed slightly below. Almost on it. Actually, the daily middle band closed at 296.56, and IWM closed at 296.54, so almost precisely on it. If we are actually seeing a bullish break, then I'd expect this to follow through to the upside and actually deliver a break of the daily middle band. Nothing really to see on the hourly chart here. 15-minute chart, we've got obviously the break below the rising wedge from the late March low, and we've got a very nice looking head and shoulders here, which has not, of course, broken down yet. So we shall see how that develops. All right, great. Let's have a look at DAX, where we saw a bit of a rally here, not got back over the daily middle band yet. And Nikkei, we've got the flag here, and I quite like the flag. I would note, though, that we could be forming the right shoulder on a head and shoulders here, on a whole head and shoulders to take this lower. We shall see. Obviously, the war doesn't seem to be going particularly well. Iran's obviously being fully defeated every day, but in terms of the war ending anytime soon, that doesn't seem to be going particularly well. All right, great. Let's have a look at DX. Now, DX has now finally broken back over this flag resistance, so waiting to see if this will follow through to the upside and deliver a retest of this high. Looking at EURUSD, that seems to be breaking down slightly from a bear flag wedge. GBP USD had broken down from a bit large bit bear flag, but certainly a rising megaphone that has broken down from that, and I'm watching for a reversal pattern. USD JPY has broken up from the compression triangle and has already retested the high and made a higher high, just over 163. We'll see how that goes. Obviously, that was actually the target of the triangle. So, but there's plenty of room for this to go higher. USD CAD could be forming an overall bull flag here, maybe. Not sure what's happening here, to be honest. Australian dollar looks like a bear flag forming. NZUSD, we've got an IHS which has broken up, so the question is this going to fail or not? Short term, we've got a little level top here, which is breaking down. I haven't marked it in yet, but the target would be down just below the annual pivot at 57.87. All right, let's have a look at that on the bigger picture charts. And okay, US dollar. On the daily chart, it looks like flag here, and we're breaking up from that, and we are back over the daily middle band, which is encouraging so far as it goes. Bigger picture, of course, we've got a big bull flag here. It's really nice, and at the moment, we're trying to break back up over the monthly middle band. So although it's slightly below us at the moment, I've got that at 101.16. In terms of the weekly chart, we've got this double bottom which has broken up, and if we have a look at this chart here, that's got a target in the 104.572 to 105.239 range. The pattern setup has me inclined towards that making target, so we shall see. We have seen some pretty interesting upside work on the dollar happening in previous periods in this war, but so far on this one, we're not really seeing that yet. So we've seen a slight bias to the upside, but that's not really enough to make any big targets so far. Okay, EURUSD, nothing really to say on the daily chart. There is this possibility that this is overall a big bull flag here, and that we could be breaking up. But we've the more conventional take would be we've got a double top, asymmetric double top here, which is broken down with a target in basically the 110 to 108.5 area. GBP USD, we've got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed and reconfirmed. We've got double top support here in the 130 10 area. See a sustained break below that, and then we've got targets considerably lower. basically down into about the 1.22 to 1.23 area. Looking at USD JPY, we have a possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing now. That could be interesting. Otherwise, but obviously, if the dollar's going up, then this is likely to go up as well. USD CAD, we pulled back a bit after we've broken up from this double bottom, but I really like the target here. Basically, that's a retest of this high here at 1.4793. Australian dollar could be forming a head and shoulders here, but I'm mainly regarding this as a double top, which hasn't broken down yet. This right shoulder goes much higher, and I'd probably reframe this as a head and shoulders. In terms of NZ, hard to say what is happening here exactly, so we shall see. All right, great. Let's have a look at bonds. Bonds, I was wondering about a further rally here. We had some very nice looking reversal patterns form, and then they didn't make it. So the ZN1 failed, and the ZB1 never broke up. And we've gone back into the low. Potential double bottom here, but obviously my overall lean is bearish. And I'm so kind of leaning towards seeing more downside. Haven't quite made it back to the retest this low. That is a target, but we're pretty close to that already. All right, let's have a look at that on the bigger picture charts. And let's look at TYX. Now, TYX, we have got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed. That could deliver later, but at the moment, so far, it hasn't been delivering now. Next obvious target would be a retest of this high here at 51.97. On the hourly chart, we had an RSI 14 sell signal that reached the possible near miss target. Nothing more to see. Obvious target is a retest of this high here at 51.97. In terms of TNX, we had an RSI 5 sell signal fixed, and that hasn't delivered anything yet either. Obvious next target would be a retest of this high here at 46.87. On the hourly chart, nothing to see. On FVX, obviously we've got a triangle which is breaking up and heading towards a target here at a retest of 49.88. Obviously, this overall, the yields have a bullish lean here. So I'm leaning towards bonds going down, yields going up. On TLT, on the daily chart, we didn't have any negative divergence. Sorry, positive divergence. So, but we're actually building some up. We've got a possible daily RSI 5 buy signal brewing here. Maybe that could deliver something. We shall see. Nothing really on the hourly chart. We will see how it goes. But we have had this inverse head and shoulders. It broke up, it failed, and it's got a target for that and a retest this low here at 82.34. Always possible it doesn't make that target. It doesn't always. But nonetheless, my lean is definitely that it goes there. All right, let's have a look at oils. Now, Brent is up further. We've still got weak 6-minute sell signals fixed on Brent, on CL, on HO, and although this reached possible near miss target, so I'm starting this one off, and on RBOB. But none of them are making target at the moment, and they may well not. None of them have quite failed yet, although the CL ones come fairly close. These are heading higher at the moment, but I'll talk more about these on the bigger picture chart, so let's have a look at those now. Right, a couple of points to make here. All right, bear with me, sorry. Right, a couple of points to make here. One, we're on daily upper band, right? And just have a quick look at that. Right, we are on, I think, day 9, day 10, 1, 2. Since we got into the upper band, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, day 7. This is a strong upper band ride. As I said, the 3SD upper band is now, the bands are expanding at a high enough rate that we can actually start doing some serious tracks here. We haven't got any sign of negative divergence. We have had in the past, and this doesn't necessarily hold true, but certainly we had a very nice sell signal form before we went down. We had a buy signal form before we went up. That's almost made target on the RSI 14, and the RSI 5 one has long since made target, of course. This is doing good tracks to the upside. I'm watching out for a possible end to this. I'm watching out for it becoming detached from the daily upper band, which it hasn't done so far. And I'm also watching out for a decent retrace, which could get this back into the 70 level on the the daily RSI 5. And then a retest of the high, that could set up a nice looking sell signal. We are not close to that at the moment, although I am wondering about, after a strong night, a little retrace here. This could be a little head and shoulders forming, which would have a target in about the 92 area approximately. So we will see how that goes. But overall, in terms of the build setup here on oil, I'm pretty happy with it. In terms of the channel on Brent, we are looking at, hang on 1 second. Right, channel resistance is now up at about the 99 area, and honestly, I think we could be there in 2 or 3 days. I'm not seeing much good news coming out of the wall. We will see. All right, let's have a look at, if we do get there fairly quickly, we might find this sell signal finally fails. In terms of WTIC, let's have a look at the band ride there too. All right, here we are on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is something I was talking about as a possibility after we saw the consolidation last week, and we've most definitely been seeing that this week. I think leaning towards seeing a bit more of a pause today, not really expecting it to reach the 3SD upper band. If we did, that would be a sign potentially that we're making a short-term high. But at the moment, very nice setup here to continue higher. We've got, again, my comments about the RSI are still valid. We almost made the buy signal target here. Chances are it's going to make the full target. And I'm going to start wondering about a high here on oil when we either reach the 3SD upper band or we get down here and then retest. Before then, I think there's the balance probability is likely leans towards this going higher. In terms of the hourly chart, pretty much the same. We are closer to the resistance here, I would note. Now, the resistance isn't necessarily going to hold, but I'm wondering if it might. It is the obvious trendline resistance. And here, we'd only need to go up another buckle. So, and hit that. If we hit it today, it would be slightly under 90. All right, great. Let's have a look at heating oil. Now, heating oil, I think is probably heading back to the highs of 4.71. This certainly looks like a bull flag, which is heading in that direction. Hourly chart didn't actually have a sell signal on the on this spot version. Looking at gas oil, likely heading back up into the highs as well. No divergence on the RSI 5 as well, because we haven't seen any significant retracements. Wondering if we might see a decent retracement soon. We had an IHS which broke up with a target in the 3.501 area here, and that has almost made that target, but not quite. Looking at natural gas at the moment is looking pretty weak. We're a long way below the daily middle band. The bands are pointed down, and I'm wondering about a retest this low here at 2.49. All right, great. Let's have a look at the GC chart. Okay, GC has broken over declining resistance. We haven't quite made it back up into the retest of the low. I am wondering if this might be a bearish consolidation before we see a retest of the low. We had a possible 6-minute sell signal brewing, but we lost that overnight. But on silver, which has already retested the low, and this could be a double bottom. Silver, we've actually got a little a little 6-minute sell signal which is fixed overnight. Wondering about seeing some retracement here. Palladium, we've still got a bear flag which is broken down and not made the target and retest the low, and we've got the same on platinum, although that is closer. On HG, this is starting to look like it isn't a bear flag, and we're heading back up into a retest of the high. Watching that with interest. Not made up in my mind firmly on that at the moment. If we say retest this high, we could, of course, see some negative divergence double up. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. And looking at gold. Gold, we've got an RSI 14 buy signal fixed, and that's a long way from the target. But in an interesting development, for the first time in a while, we've seen a break back above the daily middle band, and that has seen a second day basically above the daily middle band, and that is suggesting that we might have a low end. I would note that in terms of its bottoming pattern here, we've got an overall double bottom with resistance at 4382.76. Maybe the low could be in here. I like this overall bullish setup, and I like it a lot. So maybe that is done. we'll have to see. Silver, I've now got a weak RSI 14 buy signal fixed. Hang on a second. I'm just gonna annotate that. All right. But that again is promising. I think that gold and silver are bottoming here. And certainly what at the moment we're seeing is we saw in the first phase of the Iran war, we were seeing quite a lot of weakness on gold and silver. I was saying at the time that might just be because it was in a retracement. And that it might be a coincidence rather than a real correlation. And at the moment, we are not seeing a correlation. If anything, we are seeing a correlation with both oil and gold going up. Silver, as you can see, is also back over the daily middle band now. All right, looking at palladium. Palladium, no current divergence, but obviously we've got nice looking flags here. We've got a beautiful flag channel here. And if we break up from this double bottom here, that'll take us to the flag resistance and higher. On silver, we've got a very nice looking bull flag wedge. On palladium, we've got a bull flag wedge which has broken up and a potential double bottom setup here. On platinum, we've got an RSI 14 buy signal fixed as well. We've got a falling wedge which hasn't broken up yet. But obviously isn't that far away from breaking up. Copper isn't a precious metal, of course. We've got a double top that's broken down here, and I'm wondering whether this is rejecting back up into a retest of this high here at 6.653. Looking at GDX, GDX, we've got a nice looking nested double bottom here. Nothing really to see on the hourly chart. But I'm liking the setup. If we've seen a low here, then this wouldn't be a bad place to see it. We shall see how that goes. All right, great. Let's have a look at the other commodities. Now, KC. KC, this looks like a bullish consolidation. Specifically, it looks like a triangle. So we will see how that goes. But I think this terminates with a move back up to retest the high. Then we've got an inflection point to see whether this is going to go higher, which it might. Sugar. Sugar, we've got a double top which is broken down here and might still play out. I've got a target there in the 13.98 to 14.13 area. Waiting to see if that will deliver. CC, we've got a possible head and shoulders forming here, but actually that head and shoulders could also arguably be a bull flag. So I think we've got a choice of one or the other. If we go down, the target would be in the 4,400 area. If we go up, then I'd be looking for a retest of this high here in about the 6,450 area. Looking at lumber, lumber retested the high. We got a potential double top here. CT, we had an inverted head and shoulders here. It failed, and really the target for that would be a retest of this low. Until demonstrated otherwise, I'm leaning towards seeing that. Wheat is trying to break higher. It's coming back in, retesting this high. We will see whether that delivers. Still got a 6-minute sell signal here, which didn't make target, but hasn't failed yet. On corn, we are heading higher at the moment. Soy, we have been heading higher. Had a little double top opportunity here, and we've just gone higher from it. So I'm leaning fairly long on all of these. On ZL, we had a little double bottom which broke up and made target. I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of this high here in about the 74.7 area. Live cattle, we've got a weak 6-minute buy signal fixed. We've got a head and shoulders which is broken down with a target in the 204.45 area. And on lean hogs, we've got a 6-minute sell signal fixed, and we've got an inverted head and shoulders which is broken up with a target in the 92.5 area. All right, great. Let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. And looking at coffee. Coffee has obviously retraced a lot of this move down now, slightly over 50%. Could go higher. We've got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed, and that hasn't reached the possible near miss target yet. We could be forming a triangle. Equally, this could expand out into a more conventional flag. We shall see. Holding the daily middle band as support at the moment. In terms of sugar, Sugar, we've got a nice looking falling wedge here. It has broken up. I'm looking for a bottoming pattern, and I'm wondering whether a retest of this might be a consolidation pattern, setting up a retest of this low to give us a potential double bottom. In terms of cocoa, we've seen a strong rally here, pulling back a bit. RSI 5 sell signal has reached the possible near miss target, and we are trying to break below the daily middle band at the moment. So I was saying when we reach this 6,478 area that this could be an inverted head and shoulder forming. The ideal right shoulder low would be in the 48-44 area. All right, looking at lumber, where we've got this lovely setup here to go considerably lower, which has been there for quite a while now and shown little interest in playing out. We've now got a possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing, and we will see. We've got a potential little level top, so we'll see how that develops. But I am wondering whether this might start heading down finally. We shall see. All right, looking at cotton. Cotton, we had a little double bottom, it broke up, it made target, we saw a sharp retracement, and I'm wondering whether this is going to head back up into the high. If we see a retest of the low first, then of course that could be a second low of a double bottom to take this back up into the retest of the high. Short term, we've got an RSI 5 sell signal which made target, and an RSI 14 sell signal which hasn't made target yet. We do have also a little double bottom here, not an IHS on this, which has broken up with the target in the 87.30 area, and that hasn't failed yet. All right, looking at wheat. Wheat, we've got a double bottom which broke up with a target in 739.742 area, and at the moment it looks as though after a sharp retracement we're back on track for that. So we've still got targets there. We'll see whether it can make it. In the short term, we've got a possible weak RSI 5 sell signal brewing, but we could lose that divergence on another strong day up. In terms of corn, we've got a nice looking double bottom here. These haven't broken, it hasn't broken up yet, and might of course not, but that double bottom resistance is up in the 504.50 area. We will see whether it can get there. In the short term, we've got an RSI 14 buy signal fix, which is reaching the possible near miss target, and we've got a possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing. So I'm happy to see more upside here. We have been disappointed before. Okay, soybeans. We've been forming an inverted head and shoulders here, and we've been forming it for quite a while, and this is basically completing the right shoulder. If we see a break up, a sustained break would look for a target in the 1560 area, and I think that looks doable. We shall see whether it'll break up now. Short term, we've got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed, which has not made target, obviously, and could fail if we see a hard break up. All right, great. Let's have a look at cryptos quickly. And all right, looking at Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I think we're at a point where either this is a bear flag and we're setting up for a retest of the low, or we're about to break up in a double bottom. Although there is a third possibility where we could be looking at a sharp retracement for forming an inverted head and shoulders. Am I leaning towards seeing more of a rally soon? Yes. Am I thinking we might see a retest of the low first? Yes. We've got an RSI 14 buy signal fixed here, and it hasn't made target yet. In terms of Solana, I'm thinking this may all be a bear flag, and I'm wondering about a retest of the low on Ethereum. I am thinking this may well be a bear flag, and I'm wondering about a retest of the low. So I'm wondering about a retest of the low across the board on crypto here. So we shall see. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap. Everyone take care, and I'll catch you guys again on Sunday. All right, cheers.